Thank you for joining us today. I am Jennifer Banta from the Iowa City Area Business Partnership, and we're glad that you have joined us this afternoon for the We're in It Together, Preparing to Thrive in a Post-Pandemic Business Climate webinar. I am your host today, and on behalf of my peers at the Iowa City Area Business Development, Iowa City Area Development Group, Iowa City Downtown District, and Think Iowa City. Thank you for joining us. And thank you, Julie, for joining us today too.
I'm really glad to be here.
Thank you. The purpose of today's webinar is to provide a venue for our business community to start thinking about what the future holds as we start reopening our businesses and our community. Today's focus will be on rethinking your business model, staying agile through changes in consumer habits, and just taking a moment to plan and think of the future. So we are, trying to change my slides here. Oh, and just as a reminder, I'd like to encourage you to visit our website, icareatogether.com, for the latest news and resources related to COVID-19 recovery. In the coming weeks, we're going to be transitioning from crisis mode to recovery and reopening. And we have a lot of great content ahead for you. We're developing things right now, such as how to make the most of your SBA funding, new guidelines for OSHA and from the CDC on workplace safety, as you reopen. So please check back and keep an eye on our website and our newsletters in the coming weeks. We just also wanted to mention upcoming webinars. We have a lot in store for you. I'm excited about next week on the 29th. Kim Casco is going to be having a conversation about the economy at the state level and then especially at our local level. And that should be a great panel of speakers about that. On May 1st, join us for a conversation on public health and Test Iowa with Nancy Bird and some of the implications that Test Iowa will have on kind of reopening our state and getting our economy back up and rolling. On May 6th, we have a webinar, State of the Community, Food and Agriculture with Josh from the CVB, talking about, you know, just that local ag and food scene and how it's been interrupted and how it can get itself back up on its feet as well as we reopen. So I'm really excited about the content ahead and encourage you to join us. So today is Q&A. I encourage you to ask questions. Emily is on the line as well, so she and I will be looking through your questions and trying to get to all of those. If we don't get to all of your questions, we will collect all of those and try to get back to you after the webinar if for some reason we're not able to get to all the questions before our time is up. So if you're not familiar with Zoom, there is a Q&A button in the navigation bar. So click on that and ask your question in the comment box. And lastly, we have a record number of people on this webinar today, so hopefully we will have no traffic issues or technical issues, but we will be posting this afterwards. If for some reason you get kicked off, this will be up either later today or early next week for you to view. So now I would like to introduce Julie Zielinski. Julie is with the EDC. She's the Vice President of Marketing and Strategy. Julie works with Iowa-based entrepreneurs by helping them identify strategic growth opportunities and develop actionable plans to achieve their growth objectives. She has a wealth of knowledge from her work as the VP of Marketing for All Steel, a division of HNI down in Muscatine. Her corporate experience includes team leadership and product management, new market and product development, marketing research, branding, strategic planning, and marketing communications. I personally got to know Julie while I was working at the College of Business, where she is an adjunct lecturer, and a mentor to many Iowa startups and student startups on the University of Iowa campus. And I had the pleasure of working for her when I was doing UI Venture School. So, Julie, thank you for being with us today. I'm sure you heard from the governor's announcement earlier today that we are beginning to reopen our business community. Elective medical procedures as of Monday will be able to be performed. And she also had an announcement about our farmers markets. So it looks like we will be able to, with a lot of limitations, be able to go and enjoy the farmers market. So that is, good news, but it also comes with a lot of question marks. So over the past week or so, I've been doing a lot of research on how we can safely reopen our economy. And I get a real sense that this is going to take a long time. It's going to be a very long process. And we're never going to fully get back to normal. Much like we found a new normal after 9/11 with stepped up security around airports and campaigns for if you see something, say something. We're going to have a post-pandemic new normal that will influence consumer habits and just really influence how we live life over the next couple of years. So I'm really excited to talk to you today, Julie, because I always learn so much from you. And I'm really interested in learning how our business community can be resilient as we face the future. And I'm going to stop sharing so you can start sharing. So there might be a little bit of a transition here, but
Awesome. Okay. Hopefully people can see my screen. Thank you, Jennifer. I just love working with you, and I'm really happy to be here today. When you called and said this is a topic that you wanted, you really were foreseeing things and needs, because that was almost 4 weeks ago when you knew this was going to be coming up. I was really, right away when you talked about it, I was on it, because you gave my background, but I will say that my training and my background has all been about anticipating changes in markets and how they're going to be different in the future, and how do we anticipate that future market that's going to be different and build in proactively product and service advantage with that. And in my work, doing that in the corporate environment, kind of a corporate innovation world, or in what in my case was called the Futures Product Group, I just love that. I loved really deep digging into how are these consumer needs unmet? What can we do before anyone else to serve those customers better in that anticipated future scenario? And then in working with the entrepreneurs, we see at the EDC, the entrepreneurs that we work with, they have common characteristics that I assume are probably similar to a lot of the businesses on this series today. A lot of you are entrepreneurial businesses or in entrepreneurial founded businesses, or are independent entrepreneurs yourself. And one of the things that we see in these entrepreneurs is that very common characteristics is that they're opportunity oriented. They look ahead and they see opportunities when others don't. They are creative problem solvers to say, okay, I think that new need, I can solve that, and I can do it in this way. They're very creative, they're confident, they're action oriented. I joke that they go from idea to action in about 0.2 seconds. And so ultimately, at the end of the day, they're seizing opportunities and they're taking advantage of changes in markets. And so when I think about where we are at this moment in time, it's scary and it's unsettling, and it's very difficult for many, many businesses. And at the same time, I do see, through my lens, I see lots of opportunity for those that take it by the horn and put themselves in the driver's seat and go after the change. So I'm excited about this, and I feel bullish about it. Let's just see here. Okay, I'm not. There we go. Well, there's my cute dog picture. it just reminds me how rapidly things are changing, because we weren't even thinking of masks ourselves. And yesterday, for the first time, I saw a dog being walked with literally a mask like this on it. So it just goes to show you how quickly things are changing. We are in a sudden, unanticipated new normal. And you're right, Jennifer, I would agree with you that some of these changes, you know, we're just never going to be the same in so many ways. And we may bounce back in some ways as customers of businesses, but in large part, there's going to be a permanent shift in how customers evaluate and consume and need products and services. I'm gonna take us back 100 years ago to when I graduated from City High, and I think there might be another City High person from my class on this seminar, but David Bowie Changes, yes, was at our graduation, was one of our theme songs, and I love it because it hits me now in terms of, you know, turn and face the strange. It changes, turn and face that strange, and I feel like that's where we are now. This is a strange new world, and we just need to turn it, head into it, and drive this ship right into it. We always hear that necessity is the mother of invention, and if we ever needed that, we need it right now. If we ever needed creative invention, we need it right now. So when we are working with the businesses that we work through at the EDC, you know, we've been focused a lot in the last couple months on just shoring up the financial situation and the cash situation. But once we know businesses have that kind of done, then it's quickly, how do we shift towards adjusting our products and services into this new normal that you're referring to? And there are really two ways that we see doing that. The first way is to say, how are my current customers' lives and needs and concerns going to be different, and how can I shift my products and services and messaging and everything to meet those evolving needs, those changing needs? Another way to approach this is to say, what core capabilities do I have as a business through my know-how, my expertise, my equipment, my facilities, my capabilities, and what are new ways, new markets, new customers, new products that I can serve with those same core capabilities. So that's what I'm going to talk you through today. I'm going to give you some methods to approach this. The tricky part of this is to really, Jennifer, you talked about this, really I try to anticipate of these, we know there are going to be changes, for sure, they're underway. But of these changes, which ones are going to be temporary and which ones are going to stick permanently? And try to build that into your planning. Of course, we've got the other side of it is that we don't know how long this is going to last. So we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But in terms of a plan to thrive, I just recommend kind of a 5-step approach on that. One is to very clearly identify the trends and changing customer needs. And I'll go through an example of all this with you all. Whiteboard those against possible solutions that your businesses could offer, short-term and then long-term. I've got a couple college students coming in, one's taking a test, so you guys might hear a little bit of side noise. Apologies for that. And then 3, prioritize of all these opportunities that we could go after in a business, prioritize which ones have the strongest long-term fit. Then do quick check with your customers to make sure that these new possible solutions are on track with their needs, and then go forward. So I'm going to give you an example of that, but it all starts with the fundamental beginning of this is anticipating how your customers and how the markets are going to be different in the future than they have been. So this is a 20-minute-ish presentation, so we don't have time to go into all these, but I'm going to go over a few of these trends and customer needs that are different, that we know are different. But I would recommend that you, as part of your first step, research this. So there's some good online articles right now identifying what trends will be permanent. I've given you one here from skift.com. And I'll just go over quickly a couple of the top trends that we're seeing. One is the virtual experience economy. And we see this with gaming companies partnering with museums and historical societies to bring a virtual historical tour of ancient Egypt, for example, into that gaming scenario. So building an experience, a broader experience, into an interactive virtual experience. And we're seeing it with local museums, and we're seeing it with national museums shifting that way right now, which is fabulous. If we can't be there in person, how can we get that equivalent positive experience virtually? The trend of shop streaming. If I can't shop in person, but I enjoyed shopping in person either because of the salespeople that helped me or my friends that I went shopping with, is the new trend is going to be marrying streaming with that shopping, that virtual shopping experience. And how can I get that expertise from the shop person and the sales assistant and the camaraderie and the experience of my friends with me? So anyone selling products or services online is going to be, seeing that trend evolve and coming our way. Trends of ambient wellness, or I would just say facility safety in this sense. But there were stores last year beginning to mark an advantage of purer or healthier air within the store. And certainly now, especially as consumers, all of a sudden we've become very, very educated on how air travels and what happens on a cruise with air or what happens on an airplane. And we will never be the same as consumers. We will evaluate those places that we go, whether it's a store or a cruise or an airplane or a restaurant, very differently with heightened safety radar on our decision-making process. One trend is the mentor to protege. All the ways we used to get mentorship and guidance, whether it be as a consumer from a coach or a teacher that was in person, let's say sports or music, we are now wanting and starting to get online. It can be one-on-one, highly customized, or group. The same thing is happening for businesses. So for a business that you have, where is it that you provide expertise and coaching to your customers? And is there a way to provide that virtually online? The market is definitely going there in terms of expectations. Another trend is just the automated AI commerce, they call it commerce, but the automated integration of robotic and automated delivery of products and services to customers. So last year, I think it was Domino that was partnering with Neuro, but we're going to see that was an early trend last year. It's going to be a given very shortly here. So when we think about how you all deliver products and services to your customers, that shifting expectation that I'll be able to get things from a non-human way or vehicle is going to be coming to your customers' expectation set. So there's just a few quick trends that are coming that will inform the first part of our exercise. There's more that you'll find online. But we can also, and we know this because we're consumers ourselves, we know how consumers are shifting right now in their mindsets and their needs. We know that people are needing access, access to products and services right now that is done safely. I need to get it, but I don't want to risk my family's health to do so. And we're seeing some really great responses. We can see businesses that are responding quickly to that and getting creative ways to get the products here locally to consumers. And we see businesses that are kind of slow to respond to that. So, but for sure, that is an immediate high priority need, of course. And I will say, when this economy starts to open up, as it appears that it's going to be, and consumers start getting out, they are not going to be unconcerned about safety. They are going to be going out very carefully with heightened sense of concern. So businesses that, when the doors open, they open in a very planful way to keep their customers, employees safe, will have an advantage. We know that consumers are looking for connection. We see it, we're participating in it, whether it be happy hours or it be, family game night or remote extended family pub trivia night. We're all trying it, we're doing it. We're doing it because we need that connection and we want that connection. So businesses who are able to tap into that, even if it's not something that you provided outside of your physical location, will have advantage. And I'll go through in a little bit. We're talking a lot about consumers, but we'll talk about some business customers and how this affects them as well. We need something to do. We're bored. We're bored, but we don't want something to do that causes more stress. We need something to do that helps distract us a little bit, that takes our mind away from the stress and the pressures that we have. Puzzles that are an unprecedented high, puzzle sales. And apparently, I didn't know this, but similar to how they spiked during World War II. So apparently during stressful times when finances are tight and we're at home, we like puzzles. So what is, for you as businesses, are there things that you can do to help your consumers if you serve consumer markets at our home? We want things that provide comfort. The top 3 searched recipes right now are banana bread, followed by pizza dough and French toast. So apparently we like mom or grandma's banana bread that provides us comfort, but really we like carbs apparently. And then the second one is a certain type, or the fourth one is a certain type of coffee. So carbs and caffeine, I guess. So when we think about that for you all as businesses, how can you provide your customers comfort? And if you're serving businesses, your business customers are very concerned about their employees' comfort and well-being too. We do-it-yourself home improvement markets are really in strong demand right now. Consumers may not be able to go anywhere, but they want to be doing things to improve where they can go. And where they can go right now is inside the house and in the backyard safely. So there is a growing demand for that. If we've got college-age kids at home or young kids, we want to make the most of that time with them. And lastly, consumers and customers, we joke about everyone gaining 100 pounds and becoming alcoholics, but in reality, we're seeing really big increases in demand for self-improvement, health, fitness classes, and online learning of all kinds, languages, certifications, etc. So how your business can help your customers in that regard is an opportunity. And then lastly, we want to be helpful. Businesses want to be helpful, employees want to be helpful, and consumers want to be helpful right now. So we are seeing an increase or a shift, I would say, in advertising messaging towards causal marketing. We see that. I think I just saw an advertisement for Jersey Mike's saying 20% of all sales nationally are going to go to food banks. So we as consumers and customers are more likely to put our dollars into businesses where the businesses will make that dollar go further and help of others. So help your customers, help you, help the people in need. And then, just a little bit, we don't have time to go in depth into both the consumer and the business market, but I would say for business, if you're a business serving business customers, they need remote everything right now. So focusing on how to provide everything that they might need in a remote fashion, helping them with their employee well-being and productivity is a big concern, and helping them with cybersecurity is a big concern. So these are things that are common across all businesses right now, and then really just digging into what are the specific changes and needs in your customer markets. If you're serving, let's say, if you have a business that serves trade shows, provides products or services to trade shows, well, when those trade shows open back up and people go, how are they going to be different? Anticipating that and whiteboarding that out is big. So I have like a really simple 3-step approach I would recommend for any of your teams. And that is to get on a big board with 3 columns. First column is, how are my customers' lives, goals, and concerns going to be different? The second column says, how can I translate that first column, the specific need or goal, to a customer articulated, a customer spoken need? And the third column is, what are the ideas or ways that I could possibly solve that need? So I'll go through an example of this. I'm going to use pizza because we all like pizza. It is Friday. And let's just use an example pizza restaurant that has only pre-coronavirus only offered in-store dining. And if they went through this exercise that I was talking about, how were their customers' lives, hopes, concerns different? For example, we could say their customers are stuck at home, concerned about exposure, and safety. They might be families with kids at home and time crunch, so they actually have less time even though they're stuck at home because they're trying to keep working and now they have to educate their children that are home. So they have less time than they did before. They miss their social lives, they miss their connections, they might be financially strained, and they're having challenges keeping their kids' spirits, everybody entertained and spirits up in the household. So then we say, okay, let's take just some of those ideas that we brainstormed, and I would ask your teams to come up with at least 10 evolving needs that your customer changes in that first column. Then take each change in that column to the left and translate that into a need in customer language. So how would the customer describe their need? So if they're stuck at home, their need related to pizzas, I still need good food at home now. I can't go out for it. I need good food at home. And if they're concerned about exposure, I need safe access to pizza at home. Maybe they're time crunch. I need easy to plan, easy to make pizza dinners at home. If they miss their social lives, maybe I need to have pizza with friends. I need to connect with friends. I need pizza on a budget, perhaps. Maybe I need entertaining meals, meals that everyone loves, meals that everyone enjoys. Then you can shift to the right once you've done that and start brainstorming on each of these. If I have customers that are stuck at home on the first row that need good food at home, and how could I offer that? Sorry, whoops. How could I offer that? Well, certainly the obvious is I can provide delivery, safe curbside, easy to order. And those at a very basic level, the restaurants that do that safely are gonna be the ones that get our business. But even, and my little images are covering up right now, but why not a pizza truck? Maybe that's a crazy idea. Maybe like the ice cream truck, there's a pizza truck. I don't know. Maybe there's flash sales on pizza of the moment. I have no idea, but just get those ideas generated. If we're having a hard time keeping our kids entertained, maybe we could have pizza class. Maybe the chef from our pizza restaurant could offer a virtual pizza class. Maybe it's for adults, maybe it's for kids. They can have it with their friends. Maybe we have DIY, we can't have in restaurant dining, but we have DIY pizza kits that people can order in advance and pick up and make it simple, save everyone some time, but they have a good experience. So I'm not suggesting any of these ideas are viable, but the process of going through this, I think if you do it and you force yourself to identify at least 10 evolving needs and then some multiple ideas around each of those needs, there will be something worthwhile in that. And then you prioritize and you sort it based on which of those ideas have the strongest market fit. Which of those needs are the most pressing and for the customer that they'd be most likely to pay to meet, and which of those needs, if you met it with that idea, would be most likely to have the strongest advantage. Competitive advantage. So I'm using Downward Dog. I got Kelly Slocum's permission to mention it today, but I've thought about that because it's a yoga studio that I had gone to, and when the coronavirus pandemic hit, before the shutdown, she made the hard decision to close classes to keep everyone safe, and immediately shifted to online Zoom, even though it wasn't something they had done before, and it wasn't an area of, I think, expertise that they already had. They just made it happen. They made it work out. There were some glitches in it, but they quickly shifted and pivoted. And as a result, they have some very large online classes where people and their clients can stay healthy, can continue to relieve stress in a very stressful time. They can do it within their home, and they can also get their needs for a sense of community. They can see the people they used to see in the yoga studio. They can see them live. They can wave to them, say hello. So it's a really nice service and benefit she's continuing to offer her customers by pivoting and being flexible to this new need. Then you say, well, when this thing is over, because certainly it'll be over at some point, we think, when it's over, we'll just all go back to the in studio. Well, maybe we'll all go back to that. Maybe that's still the preferred method. But boy, now that I'm starting to do yoga online, I can see that it's not, that I would have thought I didn't like it, but actually it's pretty good. I like it. And although I maybe prefer to be in person, I could see on a January morning at 6:30 a.m. when it's freezing outside, I could see electing to do an online class when I would say, otherwise I'm not getting in my car. So there just may be more business that comes out of this if some of these needs, if some of these services are continued to be offered. And that may be an example where consumer expectations and needs will be permanently shifted. May not be all the way or radically, but there's going to be a permanent adjustment. The other way that we can look at this is to say, you know, what, as a business, what are my current capabilities, regardless of the products and the services I'm offering? But what are these core capabilities that I have in terms of know-how, expertise, equipment, facilities, infrastructure, processes, and detail those out, and then say, based on that, what needs and trends align with those capabilities, and what possible products or services might I get into to meet the needs that are aligned with my capabilities. So if we look at this as an example, and we could say, if I'm a manufacturer of some consumer goods that are bottled, what are current needs of things in bottles, let's just say? Well, we need some hand sanitizer. People need safety. They need safe, you know, germ management products. I'm not saying this very well. Hand sanitizer is something maybe I could get into. So if we kind of reverse this, we can start to brainstorm possible new markets, new products, and new services. And I didn't get this out of nowhere. I actually, this was a good example. We're seeing this happen. We've seen hand sanitizer having been made. We're also seeing companies that are being able to make masks that didn't make masks before. Companies that made products with fabric, making fabric masks. So this is a case of Bug Soother. We all probably know and love them, this bug repellent. And they were able to quickly get into the hand sanitizer business because they already had the bottom capabilities. They knew how to work with liquid. They knew how to blend different ingredients into liquid. So I think all businesses could kind of take that approach of what capabilities do I have? What are the new needs and evolving needs, and how might I meet those with what I have? You don't have to do it all alone, and the easiest, fastest, most effective way is to figure out, if you don't have the capabilities to do part of what you see as an opportunity, who out there does? Who can I partner with? A lot of the things we've talked about, these examples, you know, the example of the gaming company partnering with the historical society to do an experience is a good partnership. Domino's with the robot delivery service. So what aspect of this new opportunity do you need to partner to acquire? I'm very bullish on this. I think I'm got about 3 more minutes. Jennifer, how is that? Okay. Okay. I'm really bullish on this. If you believe, if you have today, or you are defining for tomorrow, a product or service offering that you believe will have fit with market needs, now is a great time to go after it. One of the reasons I'm bullish on this is because right now, more eyes are watching than ever before. We're at home, and Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook was interviewed about maybe a couple weeks ago. They've had an unprecedented demand on social media. So huge number of people on social media from home. That's how we're connecting. They're trying operationally just to get the capacity in place so they can keep up with it. At the same time, the main news networks and channels are seeing higher audiences than they have had in decades. So all eyeballs are on screens right now. We're on social media, we're gaming, we're watching the news, we're watching TV, we're streaming movies. So from an advertiser's perspective, there's a lot of eyeballs that we can get in front of. But at the same time that this is happening, advertising is actually down because, and there's a report pretty recently from the Interactive Advertising Bureau that tracks this. It tracks a large number of advertisers. And we've seen a large number of them pause or adjust downward their advertising spend. We're seeing a digital spend is down right now about a third, and traditional media spend is down about 40%. So at the very time when you've got more customers and more consumers watching and ready and available for our messaging, the competition for that messaging, the competition for their attention is actually just dropped. So if you actually do have a product or service that is relevant right now, or you're going to soon, this is the time to invest because the cost of that advertising is actually much cheaper at the moment than it was a month ago. So really we're talking about identifying the needs, identifying opportunities, then figuring out what's short-term versus what's long-term, what's temporary adjustment and change versus what's permanent. And we are recommending that you look at planning for kind of opening up in the fall. And maybe it sounds like today from Iowa, there's going to be staged opening up that's going to be starting now. We're recommending, you look at maybe, let's say, summer and fall, and then depending on who you serve, if you're serving a local market or you're serving a national audience, and then kind of look at a worst case that it may open up, it get closed back down, and it may not really open up again until next year. So kind of do a best case and a worst case, and also plan for a lot of flexing back and forth, opening, closing, shifting as you do that. So plan for worst case, best case, and then just plan to thrive, really go through those 5 steps that we talked about. Identify the trends, the changing consumer needs, whiteboard those needs out, brainstorm solutions for each of the needs, prioritize those, do a quick check with customers. You don't want to take tons of time, and it doesn't have to be a big exhaustive surveys, but quickly double check with your customers so that what you're thinking is going to be relevant to them is indeed going to be on. And then plan forward, short term and long term. I don't know if we'll be on cruise ships anytime soon. It's kind of hard to imagine that, but for sure if we are, we will be looking at them very differently. We will be evaluating them very, very differently than we ever did before. So that is pretty much it, I would say. Keep it simple, keep it staged. Good today is better than perfect tomorrow. Check with your customers, partner where you can. Oh my gosh, that was it. I think I'm done.
You did great, Julie. And as always, I have learned so much. I didn't know about dog face masks, but as the owner of 3 dogs, I think that I am definitely a customer of that.
That's so funny. That's awesome.
Duke sleeping on the couch next to me here, and trying to get a face mask on a golden doodle might be a challenge. So that might be.
I want to see that. Yeah, that'll be good.
So I have some questions for you, and I don't see any questions from our participants right now, and I would love to encourage you to just ask a question if you have one, and I will ask it to Julie. I personally have so many questions as I am sitting here trying to look ahead. One of the things that I see as being just a major hurdle is consumer confidence. Mm-hmm. And that's in a lot of different ways. We're all kind of tightening our budgets right now and trying to think ahead a little bit and save maybe a little bit more money. So we've got, consumer confidence in that area, but we also have some safety concerns. And so I wanted to ask you, how do you get over that hurdle? how do you communicate what you're doing to your customers, and how do you just package that up as part of your service that you're providing to your customer?
Well, I'm not sure if you tell me if I'm off track in understanding the question, but I actually skipped this really quick, but I think um, our customers don't know what's going on with our businesses, and they need to know. So really basic right now thing to do for all businesses is to communicate on your websites what's going on, not just the availability of your products or the availability of you to deliver products and services, but also the safety of how you are manufacturing or providing products and service safely to your own employees. Customers care about that. They want to know, even if they are not in danger or being exposed to you, they want to know your employees are safe. So communicate how you're approaching this on your website, and then communicate to customers through existing social media, email. So just let them know, first and foremost, do that right now. I just tried to check with a restaurant to see, you know, are they even open? If I wanted to do pickup with them, can I? And there was nothing on the website at all. And, you know, they may be, and if they are, they need to let us know so they can get our business. We want to support that. Then, you know, then once you've got the communication out, then really get everything online quickly, whiteboard it and get going after. So did I answer that question?
Absolutely, absolutely. I've had that exact same experience with some restaurants where I haven't known whether they were open or not, or if they had special menus. So I think that one of the biggest issues that I've seen with our small businesses is just communicating what you're doing. I also, you know, I haven't gone into a grocery store for quite a while, and I'm trying to imagine what that re-entry might look like. And I'm trying to imagine, am I going to wear a face mask? Am I going to wear gloves? You know, and there's some anxiety about that. What
Yeah.
are they going to provide those things? So part of this, I think too, is just really over communicating with your customers that we are providing the safest shopping experience we
Yeah.
can. Here are
Yes.
the things that we're doing. We're regularly cleaning. We're,
Yep.
you know, and I think that that would go a long way, just as
Yeah.
my own personal kind of
Yeah.
habits are changing
Yeah.
too.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, because if we go, if I have two grocery store options to go to, for example, and they both have quote delivery service or pickup, and one has a person that comes right up to my car, I can't pay in advance, we're exchanging credit cards, I'm, you know, signing stuff, that's a lot of exposure right there. Whereas if one, I can pay in advance by phone or by web, and they know my car coming up, and I can pop the trunk and they can put it in. That's a totally different experience. So thinking through those details and then communicating it so the customers know what they're getting into is really going to be advantageous for sure.
Absolutely. Um, oh, Kelly Drown, thank you, Kelly. Another one of my
Hi,
past
Kelly.
coworkers. She says, "Thank you, Julie. What a thoughtful, helpful, and inspiring talk. We have not
Uh,
heard the word thrive in a while," and I agree,
yeah.
Kelly. That is so true. Um, and Cindy Kniebel, we and another venture school alumni
Yeah.
person here. So
Hi,
how do you
Cindy.
see messaging changing so you don't seem like you aren't empathetic to the situation? And that's a really good question, Cindy, because I think that there's a voice that companies and businesses use. I know at the business partnership, we always say that we're seriously funny. So we try to add some levity to our communications, but this is not the right time for that, is it, Julie?
Well, I think it's not necessarily the time to make a joke of it or to take it too lightly, because it's so serious for businesses and for so many individuals. Having said that, you know, a lot of what we're seeing we're seeing a lot of CEOs come out with advertising saying we really, you know, we are concerned deeply, we care deeply, we are here for you. And that's just a very serious, heavy message that we're getting a lot of right now. And so there's a lot of the same with that. So I think it depends on your customers and consumers, but if your customer has typically come to you for entertainment, for example, if your business provides entertainment, if your business provides something for hobbies, letting them know that you're here safely is good, but then helping them have that that same experience, you know, having them, it's okay to provide your customers with enjoyment. It's okay to entertain them. I wouldn't joke about the situation too much because it's not super funny, but it's okay to be entertaining and fun with how we're communicating on other things.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I selfishly, there's a few other questions here, but I selfishly wanted to ask a question of my own too, going back to one of your slides where you did this great ideation process. And then how do you vet your ideas? You might come up with, 3, 4, 10, 15 ideas.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know which ones are the ones you really want to go after? And then also, like, which ones will have the most ROI, maybe because we're in the business to make money. And so where do you spend your time and how do you know which ideas to go after?
Well, I actually have a decision-making tool, decision-making model that's pretty simplified, but it looks at it would take, let's say you get your top 10 ideas. You can kind of screen those down on your own. And then it would take these top 10 ideas and it would evaluate each of those 10 ideas against like a handful of criteria. And what I would suggest using is, how big is this market opportunity for this idea? Is it a big dollar market opportunity? Lots of people or just a little people, or a few number of consumers. So how big? I would look at how well it fits with my capability to provide it. So how closely is it aligned with my overall brand and my ability to provide it? How expensive is it going to be to get into this? One idea might be pretty fast and fairly affordable to get into. One may take a lot longer and be more expensive. And it doesn't mean that the longer expensive one isn't worthwhile, but it depends on the criteria that you've got. How intense, I would say, is the need for this by consumers? And maybe a last one would be, how likely am I to be able to have a strong competitive advantage? If it's something that I think there are 100 other people already trying to do, it might be harder for me to have a competitive advantage doing it. But if it's something that I don't think a ton of other people are already doing, or that other people my competitors would have a harder time getting into, then my competitive advantage is going to be stronger. That would make that idea a little bit higher value. And so I would kind of come up with the 5 criteria that make sense for you and your business. And then I would literally rate each of those ideas on each of those 5 criteria, and then come up with kind of a total score for each of those. So that's one way to do it. And you can kind of rate them on high, medium, and low to kind of keep it simple. But that will bubble some ideas up to the top.
No, I love that. And I was even thinking a step further too. You narrow it down to 2 or 3 ideas, potentially reaching out to some of your best customers, whether you're B2B or B2C, and find out, what challenges are you facing right now, and would this solution potentially help in that, and getting some feedback maybe from some of your best customers too.
And that's for sure great suggestion, for sure. Because sometimes what we think is a great idea is a little off, and if you go through all the effort to get it to the market and it's just that little off, what a shame. So if you can do a quick check with those customers and make sure that what you're seeing as a need is actually a need, and that the planned solution is something that they would perceive of value, then you'll set yourself up so much better for success.
Well, we have one other question here about advertising, and I am noticing that a lot of the ads that stick in my memory right now are, often from very trusted sources, like NPR. Anytime NPR has, one of their contributing sponsors that are highlighted, I definitely listen to who those people are. And Claire has a question here about, you know, when your dollars are being stretched really thin,
Mm-hmm.
how do you know, how do you select which channel to advertise in? And how do you allocate those dollars, whether it's social media, radio, TV advertising? How do you evaluate those options?
Yeah, it's hard to know kind of until you try it sometimes to see how many new customers you can generate from any one tactic, you know, whether it's a radio ad or it's paid social ads or something else. So sometimes you just have to test it and try it and really pay attention to any new customers coming in. Where did they come from? And then after a period of time, you can get a sense of which ones tend to have a lower customer acquisition cost, which of those things are the most efficient marketing activity for you. But without knowing that, I think if I had to pick and choose out of the gate, I would say, think about which of those avenues give you the ability to reach your very, very specific, well-targeted and defined customer without a lot of waste of reaching, you know, a lot of people, because you're going to pay to get in front of people. And if, let's say you went through a radio channel, you might be paying to get a lot of people who aren't your customer. So that may, and I'm not, radio can be really good. I'm not suggesting it is or it isn't, but you want to try to avoid spending money to reach a lot of people that are not your target customer. So right now, I would tend to say right now, social media is it's efficient. You can really target well. At the same time, if you're a local business, I mean, social media, you can target business customers, business audiences, and consumer audiences anywhere around the country, really, really specifically at a low cost right now. So that I would, you know, definitely think is attractive. But if you're a local business and you appeal to a large number of consumers, let's just say a grocery store, and it's in a local market, a local radio station may be a great way to reach them with your message. Or it depends on who your customer is. If you're reaching an audience that really doesn't go on social media, then social media is a bad option for you. If they're more likely to watch the 6 o'clock news, then maybe the local TV station is a great way. You know, so I think just thinking about who your customer is, where are they consuming information, and how can I reach them most efficiently?
Yeah, and I was also going to say little tests, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
putting a little bit here, seeing how that performs, and not being afraid to admit failure pretty quickly and
Yeah,
just moving on to something else. And I think that that's
yeah.
something we all need to, as we look into the future too, with resilience, just realize when what you're doing isn't working, and just
Mm-hmm.
quickly cut the cord
Yep,
and move on to something
yep,
else.
yep, for
I
sure.
I recently started noticing I'm on Instagram a lot. That must be my age group, but I like looking at people's pictures of their kids and dogs and happy stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And not get on Facebook too much. But I noticed that New Pioneer Co-op started advertising to me on Instagram about how you could start ordering online and
Perfect.
picking up right from
Yeah.
their store. And I thought, wow, that is so good that they are
Mm-hmm.
marketing that new service that they're providing. And maybe it's not
Mm-hmm.
new, maybe I just didn't know about it
Mm-hmm.
before, but
Mm-hmm.
they are putting some additional dollars into that,
Mm-hmm.
and really capturing the essence of what we should all be doing right now, which is just staying flexible, informing our consumers on what new services and products they're providing. And that, I think, really caught my attention as, you know, a quick win.
Yeah, yeah. That's a great example. That's nice to hear.
Yeah. So um, I I think we're out of questions, and I just wanted to see if you have any, you know, final thoughts that you wanted to leave us with today.
Well, I
Give
will
us a pep
say,
talk.
yeah, I will say again, you know, I'm kind of bullish. I understand, you know, I do have personal business and rental properties. So I feel the pain of the business owners here. You know, things are changing. Our customer demand can be different. So I understand that tough situation, but I am really, I'm always on this subject very optimistic, and those that kind of proactively plan for this and seize the moment will come out of it ahead. I will say the EDC is here to help any business that needs it. We work closely with the SBDCs, and Scott Swenson is a really great resource that we work with closely. So if anyone needs help for their business, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We will make sure we get you the right people if we're not able to help you ourselves.
Thank you so much, Julie. It's been great talking to you again, as always. I always enjoy my time with you, and I learned so much.
Likewise, Jennifer, thanks.
Thank you, Julie. And I want to just encourage you to reach out to the EDC if you have questions. We have a whole plethora of resources here in our community, the SBDC SCORE chapter up in Cedar Rapids. And you can always check in with one of our organizations if you have questions, and we can help direct you to where you can find your answers. So I want to also thank our attendees today for joining us. We really appreciate you coming online and spending an hour with us. It's Friday. We made it to Friday. And I hope you have plans this weekend to get out and enjoy the weather. Maybe get yourself a pizza from, or get yourself some takeout at some point this weekend. And like I mentioned before, we have recorded this, and we'll be posting it shortly on our website. I know there were a lot of people that wanted to join us today, but didn't get registered soon enough. We did have a sellout crowd, so you'll be able to pass this along to your friends through our website very shortly. And again, be on the lookout for future webinars. We have a lot ahead that I think will really help the business community. And just wanted to thank you for joining us today. Stay safe, stay healthy, and enjoy your weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.